with mysugarfreejourney.com and let us look at some of the things that are happening in the world of nutrition and weight loss and other cool stuff I want to talk about. So the biggest the biggest thing that's happened in the last couple of days was this new MAHA commission report. Boy, if you haven't read it, I would strongly suggest that you check it out. So this is the MAHA report. Obviously, it's from RFK, somebody that again I am incredibly interested in the work that he's doing because I think that we our health has been deteriorating as the as a country for about 50 years now, and it's nice to actually have somebody that is trying to fix it. Like with most of the things with with that goes on in this administration, the things that he's trying to do are so radical. There's no way that he'll succeed on everything that he's doing. But man, if we can get this battleship turned just a little bit, if we can get people thinking about the things that we need to do in order to fix some of these issues, golly, I mean, I see the next 4 years being a really pivotal time for our nation's health, and I'm so excited about about Kennedy being in there and doing some of these things and fixing a lot of the things that are wrong. But this MAHA report, let me go over some of the numbers that they found in this report, because some of them were so staggering that it was really some of the stuff that I knew I've known for a while, but just to see all these numbers in the same place, it got a little depressing actually by the time I finished the report, because not only is our health going south, but it's been going south for a long time. We've done nothing to try to stop it, and we've done nothing to try to fix the issue. And so now somebody's in there. Somebody's trying to fix the issue. So I say, thank God. And I wish him all the best, and I hope that he has tons of success. But let me go over a couple of these, and I want to discuss each one of these maybe in turn. First thing right off the top, he says 40% of children have a chronic condition. Guys, that's 40% of our children have a chronic condition. 40% of our children are supposed to be the healthiest people because they're the youngest. They've had less insults and less things to go wrong in their health. And 40% of our children have a chronic condition. So 40% of our children have asthma, type 2 diabetes, some of these other chronic issues that keep coming up. I had asthma when I was growing up, and it's not fun. And, a lot of it was because I was overweight even as a kid. And, you just get out there and you start running around. And, boy, I remember this one time I had an asthma attack, and it felt like, God, it just felt like somebody reached into my chest and crumpled my lungs up into a ball. And, it was not fun. So I have a lot of sympathy for kids with asthma, but 40% of our children having a chronic disease is a staggeringly high number, and it's obviously something that's gone wrong. Now RFK, puts the blame for that more maybe towards the vaccine side of the equation. I personally would put it more towards the diet side of the equation, but I don't know. I do know that if you have asthma and you stop eating sugar and carbs and things that cause inflammation, that a lot of times you'll find a lot of relief. And that's something that I know about, that I've seen happen. So 40% of our children have a chronic condition. 75% of young people are ineligible for military service due to medical issues. So 75%, 3/4 of young people are ineligible for military service due to medical issues. Now, part of me says, well, then maybe we'll stop, having service people all over the globe, and maybe America will stop being the the police force for the entire globe. But I'd like for that choice to not be forced upon us by the health of the nation. 75% of young people being ineligible for military service means, man, there's some that it's not going to be good for our future as a country. Not going to be good for our future as a country if 3/4 of our young people can't sign up for military service. So, in the past, if you were from, a poor part of the country, you didn't have much, you didn't have much in the way of prospects. You knew you weren't going to do well. You knew you didn't have the money for college, and you didn't have much prospect for being able to succeed in the world. You went to the military. You signed up for a 4-year stint. You got help paying for college through the GI Bill, and you used the GI Bill to get an education to make yourself better. And by the time you got out, you had a college diploma and you were a veteran. And that has been the path out of poverty for a huge chunk of the people that are living in America today. Well, if 75% of our young people are ineligible for military service, that's a path that is no longer available for 3/4 of our young people. Man, again, I cannot get over how big that is. If it was 10 or 15%, I would say that's a problem. We need to do something about that. But 75% are ineligible for the military. Whew. Lord Almighty. Jumped 270% since the 1970s. That's not surprising. You look at pictures of people doing whatever in the 1970s. You look at the way the crowds looked at Woodstock, and then you look at the way that they look now. They're totally different. They're not even close to different. I mean, the people now are so much heavier than they were in the 1970s. And again, how do you fix that? I think it's mostly the diet. I think it's mostly the fact that I'm trying to pull up my thing here. I think it's mostly the diet, the things that the people are eating. But we've got to be able to fix this. This is a real problem. And again, I'm so happy that somebody is looking into this and trying to fix it and trying to see what the problem is. For teenagers, social media is a full-time job. And I'm getting this synopsis from Emily Kopp. So I follow her on Twitter, and I really like the work that she does. So this is kind of a synopsis. I don't want to have to go through and read the individual lines in the report. But it says, for teenagers, social media is a full-time job. They average 9 hours of non-school screen time every day. A separate study found that 46% of teens report being online almost constantly. So the average teenager is averaging 9 hours of screen time every day, and they want to be an influencer more than they want to be anything else, and they are incredibly unhealthy, and those two things are related. Our kids have increased the amount of anxiety that they feel. They have increased in the amount of mental illness that they're suffering from, and it is the lack of good nutrition, followed by this massive increase in the amount of screen time. So when they're getting all the screen time, they're not hanging out with their friends. They're not going out and playing games. They're not going out and taking risks. They're not going out and having fun. They're just stuck, with their phones, staring at their phones all day, every day. And it's an issue that we need to address as a nation and get this thing fixed. Next, at the FDA, 70% of medical reviewers go on to work for the pharmaceutical industry. That's why all of these medications seem to just fly through approval, because it's just a revolving door. If you are a medical reviewer, if you get a pharmaceutical that's kind of on the edge and the science is kind of iffy, that if you can push that through and get it approved, there is a sweet job waiting for you as soon as you leave the public sector and go into the private sector. 70% of medical reviewers go to work for the pharmaceutical industry. And that's where the money is, the pharmaceutical industry. So you do your time in the trenches, you make sure the pharmaceutical companies make their money, and then that money that you help them make is sitting there waiting for you when you leave the when you leave the public sector. It's, again, this is why there's so many pharmaceuticals on the market. This is why when you go to the doctor, they don't really ask you anything about anything. How you doing? They don't talk to you about nutrition. They don't talk to you about sleep. They don't talk to you about exercise. They just put you on a new pill because that's where the money is. They want you on a pill. Next up, NIH has only devoted 4 to 5% of its budget to nutrition research. Why would you want to devote a big chunk of your money to nutrition research when you can put the other 95% of your money towards new pills? Because that's where the money is. They don't want you to be healthy. They don't want you eating healthy food. They want you to take a new pill, because once they get you on a pill, you're a cash cow. And as sickening as that is to hear, and as sickening as that is to say, that's the truth of the matter. Next, a push for cheaper food came at the expense of nutrition. Cheap, ultra-processed foods are not cost-free when it comes to health, but 70% of a child's diet is made up of ultra-processed foods. Again, 70% of a child's diet is made up of ultra-processed foods. 40% of children have a chronic disease. 75% of children that 18 to 21 years old cannot enter the military because of their health. It's all the same problem, that we're feeding our kids these ultra processed foods. They gain weight. They start developing these chronic diseases. They're unhealthy. They become physically unhealthy. They become mentally unhealthy. They have these skyrocketing problems with anxiety. It's just one problem after another. And the first domino to fall is the nutrition. The first domino is that we're feeding our kids junk food morning, noon, and night. Next up, Americans get 50% of their calories from ultra-processed food versus 10 to 31% in Portugal, Italy, and France. Half of the calories that Americans eat come from ultra-processed foods. Half of the calories that Americans eat come from ultra-processed foods. That is why we're so sick. It's why we're so fat. That's why none of us can lose weight. That's why so many of us struggle with our health. Half of the food that we're eating is this ultra-processed foods. And for every person that's like me that eats almost no ultra-processed food, that means that somebody else out there is eating almost entirely ultra-processed foods. And I know these people. I've met these people. Some of these people are in my family where they just eat ultra-processed foods. They just eat, it's just, it's like cereal for breakfast. And then they'll have chips and maybe a sandwich for lunch. And then they'll have a Snickers bar for a snack. And then they'll have, a pasta dish for dinner. And then they'll have some ice cream for dessert. And it's just ultra-processed food, one after another. They never take a break. Their insulin is always high. Their blood sugar is totally out of control. And they can't handle it. And that's what's causing all these downstream issues. A 10% increase in the consumption of ultra-processed food was associated with a 14% increase in all-cause mortality in the JAMA internal medicine study. So the more ultra-processed foods that you eat, the sooner you die, the faster you die. Again, really obvious. Your body's a machine. If you put diesel in a regular gas engine, it's gonna blow up. And if you put bad nutrition in your body, it's not going to work very well, and it's not going to last very long. We have to be eating nutritionally dense foods, and we need to be eating them on the reg. 95% of members of the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Council had a conflict of interest in 2020. So all of the people who were responsible for making the dietary guidelines had a conflict of interest. So they were getting money from big ag. They were getting money from big pharma. They were getting money from the people who make more money when you're sick. And so that's why nobody can figure out. That's how the problem has gotten so bad. We've basically sold our health to big ag and sold our health to big pharma and gotten nothing really, and we've gotten nothing for it. It's been absolutely disgusting. What we've gotten is a nation that's so fat and so sick that they can barely move, and we're going to bankrupt this nation because of our health. The most common form of bankruptcy in America today is medical bankruptcy, and our health system has a lot of problems. But a lot of those people enter into our healthcare system because they've gone so long eating all these ultra processed foods, and their health is just falling apart. And then you get to the end of their life, and they've got type 2 diabetes, and they've got, cancer, and they've got arthritis. They've got 100 things wrong with them. And it's because they've just constantly been eating this horrific food. Let's see. Support for organic food farming only counted for 0.1% of the 2018 Farm Bill. So the 2018 Farm Bill, 0.1%. So less than a tenth of a percent of the money that was allocated in that Farm Bill went for organic farming. It's just, it has not been a focus. Healthy food has just not been the focus of this country for a long, long time. And it's so bad. It's so stark, isn't it? When you see all these issues, one right after another, and you see the how bad we've let things get. We've let things get really, really bad. We've let things get terrible. So some of this stuff I thought was pretty interesting. Infants put their hands in their mouths 10 times per hour, leading to increased exposure to toxins. 90% of homes have residues of at least one insecticide on their floor. So, we've got these insecticides. We're spraying, Raid and everything else inside of our house. And then our babies, they crawl around on the floor. They're picking up toxins or residue from the mop or anything else on their hands, and then they put their hands in their mouth, and they're getting constantly exposed to these toxins. It went on to talk about fluoride. A meta-analysis of 74 studies found an association between fluoride and IQ decline in children. This is something that we've been told for years was a conspiracy theory, but there's been 74 studies now that each one of them showed an association between fluoride and IQ decline in children. It's not stark. On average, I think I looked it up. It's like 1.7 IQ points. If you expose your kids, or if you start exposing your children to fluoride and fluoridated water, from birth, it results in on average, about 1.7 IQ points loss over the course of their life. But my goodness, why not? Why do that? Why get your kids as smart as they can? Don't give up 1.7 IQ points. Get unfluoridated water and get filtered water so that it will take the fluoride out of the water. And if you want fluoride, just use a rinse. And you can have all the benefits of fluoride if you just use a rinse once a day, and you don't have to drink it every time that you are taking a drink of water. Let's see. The U.S. rate, I thought this was really interesting. The U.S. ranked 47th out of 50 countries in an international study of aerobic fitness of children. So they studied 50 countries, the aerobic fitness of our children, and we came in 47 out of 50. Our kids are fat and unhealthy, and they cannot move. They can't move. 15% of young men report no close friendships, a 5-fold increase since 1990. It's because we're always on our phones. And I can something else I can tell you is from my personal past. If you're morbidly obese, nobody wants to hang out with you, and it sucks. But uh, that's just the truth. Uh, Being morbidly obese is a shell. Yeah, and so again, this is just one more way where these nutrition choices that we've made is made our health worse and worse and worse. And in weird ways, you would expect, oh yeah, diabetes is going to go up, but you wouldn't expect it to result in, children not making friends. There was a study years ago where they were trying to study racism. So I think there was like 3 to 5 year old children, and they were showing them pictures of like of children of different races, and it was like, who do you want to play with? And they had no, the white kids said they didn't have any problem playing with the black kids or the Mexican kids, or they didn't judge these young kids. They didn't judge skin color at all, but they didn't like the fat kids. They didn't want to play with the fat kids, and that was just nobody taught them that. It was just something that was there, pre-programmed into these kids at a very young age. Sucks, but that's the way it is. Since 1986, the number of vaccines on the childhood schedule has increased from 3 injections to 29 by 1 year of age. Some comparable nations like Denmark have half as many. That's what I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Asked me if I was fully vaccinated. Yeah, I'm fully vaccinated, but I was born in 1970. Fully vaccinated for me was 3 vaccines in 1983. I forget polio, DTaP, or DTP, and I forget what the other one was. I looked it up the other day, but there was only 3 vaccines. So fully vaccinated just meant you had 3. Actually, it was 6 shots because I think each one of them was cut up into 2 vaccines. But it wasn't much. It wasn't much. Now it's 29 different vaccines that you're supposed to give your children if they are if they're fully vaccinated. They get 29 different vaccines by the time they're 1 year old. God, that's a lot of vaccines. That's a lot. What are we doing to our kids? I don't know. I don't get it. Pharma funds 5 times as many clinical trials than every U.S. agency, including NIH combined. It means that a lot of patient-level data is not available for science to independently check, as companies consider it proprietary. So they have Big Pharma does 5 times as many clinical trials as any U.S. agency. And so what this means is if they have a pill that they want to get approved, they can do 20 studies on that pill with all these different mixes of people to see how this pill reacts with each group of people. And out of 20 studies, maybe the pill shows that it does a good job in 6 of the studies, a bad job in 10 of the studies, 14 that show a bad or a neutral job, and they present the 6 that showed that the pill did a good job, and it looks like it's the this is the best pill that there ever was. And there's plenty of examples like Fen-Phen, where the pill gets approved, it gets released into the public. They later find out the pill does all this disastrous harm to people, and then they go back and look at the studies and realize that even at the very beginning, the pharmaceutical companies knew that the pill was a problem, but they doctored it and did this, that, and the other thing, and got the pill approved. And there's people who had heart attacks because of that pill. 2 editors of major medical journals received payments from the pharmaceutical industry greater than $1 million in 2014. A former editor of the prestigious British medical journal, the BMJ, said that medical journals are an extension of the marketing arm of pharmaceutical companies. So this is the, they always tell you, oh, we need a peer-reviewed study. A peer-reviewed study is like the gold standard for deciding whether or not a pill is good or a treatment is good. Well, when those peer-reviewed studies, when the peers in those peer-reviewed studies are taking money directly from big pharma, it's not a peer-reviewed study. It's just propaganda, and that's what we found out in the opioid epidemic. The Sacklers viewed journals, and that was part of their marketing when they went and tell these doctors that their pills were not habit forming. They just handed them the first page of the peer reviewed study and said, look, it's, in this peer reviewed study, this opiate is not habit forming, and that's what led to our opiate epidemic that we had. It was the Sacklers, manufactured, engineered that problem from start to finish. It's disgusting what they did to us. Next up, half of DSM-5 decision makers had a conflict of interest, and their recommendations relaxed criteria for ADHD and bipolar disorder, driving up prescriptions. So the DSM-5 is the new the big book that tells us everything that can be wrong with people, and so they again, lots of money flying around with all the people writing the DSM-5, and they relaxed their criteria for all of these. It's different if there's a disease and you've got a blood test for it. Like when we do a blood test for type 2 diabetes, you can take a blood test for that. You pull blood and you can check your blood sugar levels. You can check your A1C. You can check these things out and have a hard and fast number. But if you've got a disease that is just like a feeling, like ADHD, a bad mood, well, maybe you're in a bad mood every once in a while, or maybe you're bipolar. Maybe sometimes you feel a little sad, or maybe you have depression. It's hard to know because there's no blood test, there's no criteria that you can measure these people against. So if you lower the standards little by little, take them down little by little over the years, you can start putting out a lot more prescriptions for pills, and that's exactly what happened. And so this is just I'll cut it off here. We've been talking for about a half an hour, but that's just one. Those are just a couple of the things that are addressed by the MAHA report. Again, I would suggest that you read it for yourself. You just look up the MAHA report. It just came out like 4 or 5 days ago, and read it for yourself. And it's an interesting read. And again, it's a little depressing when you see all these facts and all these figures all in the same place, and see these things happen over and over and over and over and over again, and see the same things happen that are the institutions that are supposed to protect us are being corrupted by money. And again, I wish RFK all the best. If I hope that you can get this done, and I hope that we can all work on this together as a nation and fix these problems that we obviously have. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you listening, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.